Hello everyone, Sabrina here from Scrappy Tales Crafts. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm starting off my video by announcing the two winners for my recent showcase videos. For the fall showcase, the winner is Lucas Leibowitz 6479, which I believe is Heather Leibowitz, in which case I think you already bought the trio set, so if you would just email me, I can send you a different prize. And then the winner of the recent Advent Calendar showcase is Billy Dean 5914. I wanted to announce this winner pretty early because I will be starting my 12 ornament series starting on November 1st, and I wanted to make sure that the winner received the calendar by then. If you have already placed an order for a calendar, they are all shipping out tomorrow and Monday. I've been working this whole week stuffing calendars and shipping orders, yeah, it's very exciting. The calendar has been performing really well, and I'm very excited. I'm glad that you guys see all the value that's in it, and I'll talk a little bit about the calendar later, but I do want to tell you what I'm doing. I did go ahead and cut the icicle die. So this is day 6 on the calendar. I know that because it is the most interesting shape on the whole calendar, and this is a lot of people's favorite one, so I really wanted to showcase it. I will be creating a honeycomb icicle and an icicle with the intricate layer on top. So I have a lot of pieces cut. I have 15 white icicles and 15 blue, and I am just right now scoring them all in half. There is a score line built into the die, and I find that 25 to 30 layers is the sweet spot with these ornaments. You can do more, you can do less, you can really experiment with what you prefer. I am using 65-pound cardstock. Now, all of the ornaments in my showcase video, I use 24-pound, and I do suggest a lighter weight paper for these ornaments just because they get very bulky and fluffy. And the lighter weight the paper is, the easier it is to fan, the more likely the glue is going to really stick to it well. There's not going to be any ripping. So I have yet to try using 65-pound until I started filming this. I did off camera create and destroy another one of these icicles off camera because I was not patient with the glue. And that is because I was kind of going into this with the expectation that this paper would perform as well as the 24-pound paper, and it does not. It's because it's heavier, the glue is working harder to keep these halves closed, and the trick with getting that beautiful honeycomb is to not use excessive amounts of glue. You only want to use these dots of glue. So you can see with all the white ornaments, I am adding a dot of glue at the bottom of the icicle, at the top, and then 2 on that oval part on the top and bottom. So here's the top and bottom dot, and then the dot on the bottom and the top. And then once I have those dots, I close it in half, I take a clip, and over those dots, I clip them down. And I am giving my icicles plenty of time to dry. The one that I messed up, I was just quickly breezing through these like I was on my live the other day. And I don't suggest that if you're using heavier cardstock. Just be patient, work on other projects while this one is drying. That is what I did. So actually the green icicle that is my second project, I was working on that while these were drying. So you can see I did the same for all 5 icicles. I'm working in quadrants. So I have 15 of each color, so I will be focusing on 5 at a time just to allow for more glue time to dry. For the blue icicles, you're going to change up your dots. So I decided to add a dot to the center of the top part of the icicle, a center at the bottom part of the icicle, and then right in the center of the oval. So I'll just keep showing this. I think repetition is the only way to really learn how these are made. But whatever pattern you decide on, you have to commit to that with the color you've designated the pattern to. So I'm unclipping the white ones as I need them for the blue ones. I think I had like 12 or so clips that I was able to find. I bought these at Michael's in a pack. If I can find them on Amazon, I will link them because they are very handy. They're small, so you can get them into small spaces. And I actually just really enjoyed clipping them. It was very therapeutic, the repetitious process. Okay, so you can see all these dots I am adding and folding in half and clipping all in the exact same place. So on the white ones, I have 4 dots. On the blue ones, I have 3 dots. It doesn't matter. You don't want to do too many dots because otherwise the honeycomb is just going to be too tight and you won't see the openings as much. So I wouldn't do more than 4 dots in this case. And then with a lot of the smaller ornaments in the calendar, I would stick to 2 or 3 dots. All right, so now I'm going to glue my white ones to my blue ones. And to do that, I am going to add more glue because I want them to stick together. So I am just adding lines of glue. I'm not going all the way to the edge. You still want the edges to fluff out. So I'm really focusing my lines of glue where the crease is. And again, as I glue a blue and white one together, I'm going to clip them. I'm going to give them a couple seconds to dry and not bother them. Then I'll move on to the next blue and white one, doing the same lines of glue. This doesn't really matter as much the way you glue them together as much as it does when you fold them in half and glue the little dots together. However, you just don't want to add an excessive amount of glue or you're going to find that you'll need a lot more layers. So again, I think this is much easier to watch than for me to explain because it's all the same thing over and over again. But if you have paper clips, binder clips, use those if you have heavyweight paper, 65 pound. I would not go anything over 65 pound with these honeycomb ornaments. You can definitely do heavier weight for the other style ornament that I'll show later, but these really lend themselves to lighter weight paper. And I do sell the paper that I used in my showcase video. Most of the ornaments I used 24 pound paper. I do prefer that over 65, but I was wanting to do one with 65 pound because I have more color options, and I also just wanted to see how well it would work and any tips I can give you if that's all you have. And like I said, it's really just being patient with the glue to fully dry. If it is wet and you try fanning these honeycombs out, you're going to rip it apart. And that's what happened to me when I started gluing them the way I would with 24 pound paper. So yes. Anyway, we're clipping, we're gluing, attaching the white and blues together. So I have now stacks of 2. And then we will combine the stacks of 2 into a stack of 4 and then a stack of 6. And yes, pretty simple. So you can see where I'm adding my lines of glue, not going all the way to the edge. It's totally fine if you go to the edge, but I like to just leave a tiny bit without glue so that it's easier to fan out and it will be more fluffy that way. Now, if you're using 24 pound paper, you don't need the clips. If you check out the live last week, I made the circle, the round ball version of the honeycomb, and we were able to make those pretty quickly. All right, so now I'm combining my 2 stacked white and blues to another stack. Again, doing that same gluing as before. I'm making sure to offset the blues and the whites so that when this opens up, there will be vertical stripes of white and blue. All right, so here is another set of 2. I'm going to unclip them. Going to add my lines of glue, going all the way almost to the edge. It's just very important that whatever line of glue you decide on, that is what you do for all of them when you attach them together. With the dots, that only matters based on the color you choose. So I went with the 3 dots with the blue, the 4 dots with the white. You want to make sure that the dots are different so that you create the different honeycomb patterns. And as I, work on the series, I'll have 12 different ornaments. I will show you a couple different patterns you can do. But I find that the best way to do this is to learn your own patterns, because the one I only really know how to do is the striped one. But I have seen online that you can create some really cool ones. So I'll have to experiment. But I think it's really fun when you kind of just decide on it and see what the outcome is. As long as you don't do an excessive amount of dots, it's going to turn out beautiful. All right, so I did some combining and now I'm left with just 2 piles. But before I combine those 2 piles, I do want to make sure that those have adequate time to dry. So while those were drying, I was working on the next set of 5. So what we just did was 5 blues and 5 whites. So now I'm going to fold in half, another 5 white, another 5 blue, and do the same process all over again. So I'm working in quadrants just so that everything has time to dry. So by the time I'm done folding my final blue icicle, I can then come back to the ones that have been clipped together for about 5 minutes. They're fully dry now. So I'm going to unclip them, and again with the same stripes, you know, 2 with the I can't explain it. You guys see the lines that I'm doing, but I am adding quite a bit of glue because I do want to make sure that these are sticking together, but I'm not going to add glue all over. It'll be harder to fan out if there's too much glue, but I did add a good amount of glue to secure them. All right, so this is like the point where my clips barely hung on. So that's why I opted to do 5 and 5. And then at the very end, I will combine each of the thirds together, and I'll show you that. But I'm just going to show you this one quadrant because I did the same thing for the other 2. But I think this is the best way for me to explain the drying process, is to kind of work this way so that by the time you're done with your second quadrant, your first quadrant's fully dry. The third one, the second one is dry, and then you just have to leave the third one out for a little bit longer while you work on something else. All right, so I have my 3, and I'm going to attach the 3 the same way with the same stripes of glue. Not going quite all the way over, but almost all the way over. Making sure that I am stacking a white on top of a blue. And then I'm going to take something very heavy once all 3 of these are attached, because I can no longer use my clips. I probably should have used binder clips at this point, but instead I just took something really heavy and laid it on my desk for 10 minutes or so. Then it is fully done. And now look, when you fan it out, you can see the honeycomb and nothing is ripping. Yay! And the only reason nothing is ripping is because I let it time to dry. Some of you may be like, well, I need to add more layers. Sure, you can add more layers, but you don't have to. I think 25 to 30 layers is all you need. Just give the glue time to dry. If you want to use hot glue, maybe that would work better. But yeah. So now all I have to do is fan these out and close the ends together. Now this part you do have to manhandle. Don't be scared to manhandle. It is required for these to close. And then again, use your clips. I love these clips because they're tiny and can get in between the layers of paper. And then again, leave it clipped together for 10 minutes and your ornament is done. This ornament took me an hour to create. Also, the ones from our live took an hour. So I think on average, even with the 24-pound paper, that's a little bit faster. Actually, no. 24-pound is faster because I don't clip in between layers. I think I just was slower in the live because I was explaining what I was doing. I was talking to Taylor. But I think if you use 65-pound paper, 30 layers, it's going to take about an hour. Now, this is the largest of the 12 ornaments in the calendar, so it's possible like the bell or the balls will take a little bit less time. But I would account for maybe 45 minutes to an hour for these ornaments. Now, the intricate ones that I'm going to show next, those only took about 30 minutes. And they're just as pretty as these. So I decided to add sparkle to this with this tonic iridescent sparkle spray. What I like about it is a glue spray. So it's adding glue to the project, which means it's sealing more layers together. It's making the paper stiffer. And it's adding sparkle. So I did this with a couple of my samples on my showcase, and I really like the spray. So I just thought I would add that. I will show you the sparkle towards the end of the video. I decided to string up this ornament with some beads. These are just some wood beads I bought on Amazon. Later on in the series, I have colored beads. I have a lot of plans. I also found a felt that works with these ornaments, so I'm going to make a couple felt ornaments in the series. I just have a lot of ideas. I'm very inspired by this calendar. So I am going to knot the bottom where those beads are. I'm going to do a double knot because I'm going to stuff this knot into the hole that the icicle created with all of those layers of paper. And I want to make sure that the knot is big enough to touch all the area around the hole. Then I'm going to do a small knot, just one knot at the top, so that will create my loop, and then I'll create another small knot. Actually, no, that's it. You can also do a knot at the top of the wood bead if you don't want those to move around, but I don't care, so I just left it. But I do have that large knot at the bottom. I'm going to trim off the tails, and then you can see how that can stick into the hole that's at the top of the icicle. Now, this would probably be a good time to use hot glue. I just did not want to deal with the mess of hot glue. So instead, I used a ton of art glitter glue in there. You can maybe use wood glue since these are wood beads, or fabric glue. But yeah, I just used a lot of liquid glue in there. And even once I stuck the knot in, I pulled it up and added even more glue to the bead itself where it touched the paper at the top. And this thing is solid. I let it dry for 30 minutes. By the time this project was done, the icicle honeycomb was done. So yeah, I think that's the best way to work with these dies, is work on multiple projects to allow the other ones to dry. So for this one, this is the same icicle. I cut the solid layer from gold. So this is the layer we were using before, but I'm going to use this just as an underlay. So I cut that from gold, and then this one, the intricate layer, from dark green. And you can just see that those holes that cut out from the intricate layer, the gold will peek through, and it's super pretty. Now with these ornaments, you only need 5 layers, which is nice. So even though these take a little bit more time to die cut, they will definitely be faster to assemble. And if you do all of your die cutting ahead of time, I think you can make a bunch of these in one day. So as you can see, I cut my green intricate layer in half following that score line, and then I'm going to glue it on top of the solid gold piece. I am leaving a gap in the center on the left and right side of the score line, just so that when I go to fold this, I'm not going to crinkle my green layer, if that makes sense. Yes, but you can overlay these if you're just doing a flat card. But in this case, I do want to make them into ornaments. So once I have that green layer glued on, I can just fold this in half. I'm going to do the same thing 4 other times off camera. So now I have all of my layers. And these ones we will glue back to back. There's no fancy glue dots or patterns here. These ones are definitely easier to start with. So if you're a little bit intimidated by the honeycombs, maybe start with these because they are equally as pretty in my opinion. All right, so I'm adding glue to 1/2 of the icicle, and then I'll take another one and glue the half on top. And then I'm going to bring in the clips again because why not? They're really handy with these 3D projects. And then I will do the same thing to another set of 2. I'm going to add glue on 1/2 of the icicle, take another one and just glue that on top. I like the clips too because it keeps everything in place, like centered where I want them to. So you can see I'm shifting around the top and bottom to get it exactly where I want. And then once I'm happy, it's nice to just clip them into place. All right, and then we have our third ornament. You can do 6 layers if you want, but you're gonna notice once I attach the 2 to the set of 3, it gets very tight. So I think 5 is the perfect number. And it creates a bit of a star at the top, which makes it easy to add your hanger or your twine. All right, so I'm going to let both of those, or never mind, I'm going to unclip the set of 2 and the set of 3. So I didn't give that one a lot of time to dry, but I think it's all right. I will go ahead and then attach the 2 remaining sides to the set of 3. And the set of 2 just pokes, just like kind of pops right into place. I think it is easier to focus on one side at a time. So you'll see with the bell that I do next, I add glue just to the 1/2 first, glue down the 2-part set, and then open it up and glue the other side. It's totally up to you. Okay, so now I'm pulling in another set from the calendar. I believe this is day 9. And this one comes with a bow and a tassel. I'm going to use the tassel on my bell and the bow with this ornament. And the trick with these toppers is just like when you add a double knot to your twine, basically a knot that is the width of the opening that's at the top of your ornament, you want to make sure it's also the same width when it comes to paper. So I glued up 2 gold glitter bows, and then in the center I glued a white heavyweight layer too. So there's 3 layers. Some of my ornaments require 4, some require 3. Kind of just depends on how tight that opening is at the top. But you can see that the bow has that little part at the bottom that allows you to add all your glue and stick it in, which is really nice. So these are the 2 icicles. You can see how different they look even though they're kind of the same die. I like with the intricate ornament, it's much skinnier, and the honeycomb is very full and fluffy. So now I'm going to work with the bell. This is day, I want to say it's day 7, maybe. You'll have to watch my showcase video. I didn't want to open any of the doors until I start my 12-part series. So these I'm just kind of pulling from my desk. I already have them in the baggies. But this is going to be another intricate design. I cut the base layer from red, which would also be the honeycomb if you decide to do that. And then the intricate layer I cut from gold mirror cardstock. Again, I am cutting the gold one in half and gluing it onto the red, leaving the center score line freely exposed so that I can fold this easily. Now I'm working on the tassel from that same set and also the bow. I'll use both on this. This time I am quadrupling my layers because the opening at the bottom is a little bit bigger than the opening at the top. So I have 2 gold mirror layers, and then in between I have 2 white layers. And I do 1 gold, 1 backwards so that when this ornament is dangling, it's pretty from both sides. Same with the bow. All right, now I can score these or fold these in half. Again, I have 5 layers. Creates a star at the top, which is really cute, and it's nice to add those toppers. All right, so going to add glue to 1/2 of one of my bells, and then take another one, glue it back to back. I'll take my clips just to secure that glue, keep everything in place, and then I'll do the same thing with another set of 2. And then there's 1 remaining. And I will add that to the first one I made. Or never mind, I guess I'll add it to this one. Onto the other side, take some more clips and let that fully dry. All right, so now I have it dried. I'm going to pull off the clips, kind of separate it open a bit more. That way I can squeeze in my set of 2. Again, gluing them back to back. This time I opted to just focus on the right side, clip that, and then open it up and glue the left side. I really find with any kind of project like this, patience is key. Just give some time for your glue to dry. All right, so then I will just set that aside, let it dry. I took off the clips, and now I'm going to open up the top of this a little bit more with my scissors. I'm just kind of expanding that top star because I actually made my bow a little bit too thick. So I should have made my bow 3 layers thick and my tassel 4 layers thick, but I did them both at 4. So I did have to open it up a little bit, no big deal. I added glue to the bottom part of the bow, and for the tassel I'm adding it to the top part where that line is. And I am adding heavy amounts of glue. You want this to stick to all of the side walls. And because the bottom is a little bit looser, I am going to take my clips and secure the bottom so that the walls are going to touch that tassel that's on the inside. And just let this dry for about 10 minutes and you'll be good. That project is done. So I have one more, and that's the beautiful angel from the calendar. And I think this was a lot of people's favorite one, and it's my personal favorite. I love how this one turned out. So I opted to go for silver and white. I like with these ornaments, you can use your 65 or even your 100-pound paper because you're not using as many layers. So in this case, I'm using white glitter as the base and silver mirror as the detail layer. Now it is a little bit tricky to glue onto glitter cardstock, so these clips are really nice. And I am using more glue than I typically would because it is going to be adhered on glitter. Again, I did 5 layers here, making sure to glue each half a little bit past the score line on the left and right side so that when I score this, my silver won't butt up against each other. All right, so I have my 5 angels ready to go, and I decided to dress up her dress even more with some silver pearls. We have loads of embellishments on our website, so definitely check that out. I'll link to this specific mix, but this one just has silver, white, and then like a gray color. From this mix, I'm using white and gray in a variety of different sizes. And on the die cut design of her dress, there are already some dots cut into the dress, and that is where I am placing my pearls. So I did that to all 5 angels. I think a red and gold angel would also be really pretty. I plan to make more of these ornaments off camera that are basically the same because these create quick gift tags. So I would use these intricate ones more as gift tags, and the honeycomb ones I would just hang straight onto my tree. But these are really fast, and I think they'd be beautiful on hand-wrapped gifts. So in my series, I want to maybe include some gift wrapping techniques because I've learned a lot on TikTok and I'd like to show you guys, and just finish off the presents with a tag like this. I think that would blow your recipients' minds. So all right, so now we'll do the exact same thing, gluing them back to back. Oh wait, no, we're not. The angel is the only ornament that's slightly different because she has wings. And so I'm going to accordion fold 2 of the rectangle pieces that are included in the door. So you get this long accordion. I cut it twice from 65-pound white cardstock, and now I'm just accordion folding them back and forth. And this will create the wings. So you need 2 of them. And then to create the wing, you can see if you glue the left side together and leave the right side open, that you get this wing shape. So that is what I did. I added a glue dot to each of the valleys, smushed those together, let the right side be free, and I clipped them. I love clips. These are my new favorite tool in my craft room. It also, like, part of the enjoyment from making these ornaments came from the clipping. Okay, now we're gonna glue the dress piece back to back. So I'll do my set of 2 again, and then my set of 3, just gluing each half together, clipping them. And then I'll let both of these pieces dry before I attach these together. I remove the clips. I'm going to open up the angels a bit. And you can see that if you add more than 5, I really feel like it's going to be really tough to tuck more in, but you definitely can. In fact, our trees from last year, we did create a die that allows you to put more layers without it getting too tight. So I can link to my trees from last year. You can use that tool, that die, with any of the dies from this calendar. You could basically use any symmetrical die with it. That will create that star that's at the top. However, the star will be pulled apart more. So that allows you to add more layers. All right, so now I'm going to close up the other side, and you can see it's getting really tight. This glitter cardstock is super thick. It's probably more like 120 pounds, or at least 100 pounds, I'd say. And all the other papers I've been using were 65 pounds. So, all right, so I'm just going to close that up, and then we will attach the wings. And this is super simple. I'm only going to add 1 strip of glue to the back side on the left and right outermost accordion piece. And then you can see, you can just pick one of the dress halves and glue that in front or behind. It doesn't matter. And that is both sides, you'll see. I will take some clips because this accordion piece is pretty heavy. I do want to clip those into place to give it some time to dry. And I'll do the same thing on the right side. So I'll show that again. Add a little bit more glue here and clip it. And that's how it looks from the back. So the back's actually prettier because I opted to glue the accordions to the front versus the back. All right, so again, I have my second accordion. You can see that the outermost left and right piece is flat, and that allows you to glue it. And then just take some more clips and adhere that down. Now, next year's calendar, I feel like this year's calendar will be hard to beat, but I want to keep doing more ornaments. And I think it'd be fun to do ornaments that kind of build off of each other. So next year, I plan to do 3 large ornaments and then have several accessories to go with it. And they'll be a little bit more intricate. So I feel like this was a good start to the ornament calendars and to kind of get you guys excited for more. So With the loop, this one does come with the angel, and there's also a halo. So I glued the halo onto the pearl loop. Again, layered it up 3 times. I have to open up my star a little bit. I'll have to take my clips off, and I'll use my scissors again to kind of open up that star. Again, if you have that die from last year, that will be so much easier to add these toppers in. But it's totally fine. I like that it's tight though, because once I know I stick it in, I know that it will be fully adhered. So yeah, there are, in the calendar, there's several loop options, several bows, so you don't even need twine if you don't want it. But that's the finished angel. That one's by far my favorite. I'm definitely going to make more of her for my gifts this year. Here is our first honeycomb icicle with the 3 beads at the top, as well as the bell. And the green icicle. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't yet already. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!